All right, folks, this is what you've been waiting for, the real flip of the switch for XRP and Ripple's secret plan for the automated market maker. We're going to tie a couple things together and showcase why this AMM feature is so important to Ripple. And it's very clear to see David Schwartz and a couple other developers from Ripple showing up on a Twitter Space Friday, trying to, showcase their work, the trials, the tests that they've done so far, making that publicly available. And now it's spurred this conversation and all this drama and all this debate between the validators on the XRPL. And I dropped a video yesterday, maybe you saw it, it's just a couple minutes long, where I just simply break down the whole drama with the developers that's taking place right now. It comes down to two things. They have legitimate concerns about the XRPL being able to handle the throughput and the burden that the AMM is going to kind of put on the ledger. Legitimate concern. And as with every amendment, we got to run it through these tests, a very stringent process for any amendment to get accepted on the XRPL, right? We need an 80% supermajority for something to actually go through. So they have legitimate concerns, but the developers are kind of hiding behind that. And what they really want, in my opinion, this is just one man's opinion, is they want to be heard. They want a little bit of attention. They've kind of been the overshadowed developers and validators, kind of lurking behind the scenes, working really hard, and we got to respect what they're doing. But Ripple's kind of taken the show, haven't they? And we're decoding every little tweet that David Schwartz is putting out, and we're trying to, put together this whole conspiracy theory with Ripple and XRP. And we've kind of overshadowed and overlooked these other regular, dudes and gals who are actually validating the XRPL. And I want to give them their spotlight. I want to give them their time. I want to, shine the light on their business. If they're building real value on the XRPL, that's fantastic. That's great. And I'm not here to debate, whether or not the AMM should be passed. I think it's very clear that we all are in favor of the AMM. That's kind of a consensus that we have. It's just a debate whether or not the XRPL is ready for it right now or not. Now, there's a lot of folks that are pushing back and saying it's clear that Ripple wants this amendment because it's key to their business. Of course, it's key to their business, and it's going to be a great utility on the XRPL. We should all be in favor of it in due time. And it took 2 years for the NFT XLS20D update to go through. If it takes a few months for this to go through, that's fine. I think that we're all in favor of speeding up the process, but we also want to remain patient and let the developers run these things through their tests. Now, I say all that. It was a long weekend of a lot of debates, a lot of, talk in the spaces, but I wanted to bring this back and start out the week here, really talking about why this is going to be a flip of the switch moment for the XRPL. What I'm talking about is, and I was looking for, speaking of decoding David Schwartz tweets, I swear there was a tweet that he had put out a few years ago when they originally launched the private CBDC, a private layer. And they created a toolkit, and I swear that David Schwartz had said we could help central banks launch a CBDC on the XRPL in one day. If you can find me that tweet, please send it to me. My email's at my website, zachrector.com. Find me that tweet. I'm looking for it. I've seemed to, have lost it, or maybe it got deleted somewhere, or maybe I'm just mistaken and somebody else said it, not David Schwartz. But regardless, that was kind of what they were, showcasing just a few years ago, was the central bank private layer where you could issue your central bank digital currency on the private version of the XRPL. This is fantastic. This is great. Fast forward to 2023, and we see that Palau launched their US dollar-backed stablecoin on the public XRPL mainnet, right? So it's moving on the DEX, the decentralized exchange that's built onto the XRPL. And we were tracking the transactions of folks in Palau buying candy bars at the corner store. Their transactions were going through on the mainnet public XRPL DEX. And so that was really cool. But where this gets exciting is that Ripple, working with partners like Palau to launch their, US dollar-backed stablecoin, the Palau stablecoin, the ticker was PSC on the XRPL. And then we see them partnering up with over 20 other conversations that are taking place, according to James Wallace, right? Along with 10 partnerships that have already been confirmed. So we know that there's 30 plus conversations and deals that have already happened with central banks and governments around the world. Plus what they're doing with their on-demand liquidity partners, right? There's hundreds of banks and institutions that have gone to Ripple's Ripple Net and partnered up with the Ripple payments in that regard. But then only about 50% of the transactions now are going through on-demand liquidity. Ripple has rebranded to Ripple Payments, and I'm going to play two commercials right here. The first one is going to be on why a central bank would choose to build on the XRPL, and what they would be doing is they're issuing an asset, and let's just use Palau as an example, right? They're issuing Palau stablecoin on the XRPL. And the James Wallace central bank, he's basically the head of central bank engagement at Ripple. We're going to play his commercial first on why you would launch your CBDC on the XRPL. And then we're going to play the other new commercial from Ripple on tapping in to their global liquidity partners. Okay, but then we're going to take it one step further and how they're going to utilize the AMM to flip the switch and move these flows from the private ledger, right? And from right now, the on-demand liquidity flows are happening at centralized exchanges. They're not happening on the public DEX like Palau's stablecoin. But with the AMM, they're going to be able to tap into this liquidity or, quote unquote, flip the switch, move that liquidity from the private layer over to the AMM liquidity pool, because it's going to source the best liquidity, some of the best liquidity in the world, in my opinion. And then the same thing can be done with other on-demand liquidity partners. For example, if Bitso wants to, issue Mexican peso on the XRPL, they can do so. And that's already corridors that they've got fired up for ODL. But all that they have to do is issue that asset, the Mexican peso, on the XRPL. We already have USD issued on the XRPL by Bitstamp and by GateHub. And Ripple could do that as well. And what you do is you issue these assets and then you build out that liquidity pool. But because they've already been moving their on-demand liquidity flows through, this currency pair, essentially, they just move that over to the liquidity pool, and we really flip the switch and ramp things up and accelerate that volume rather quickly. Now, let's play this. First commercial is going to be on why you would launch your CBDC on the XRPL. And this is a conversation about CBDCs, but you can just imagine this is the same reason why you would add any other stable coin as well. Like Palau doesn't have a central bank, but they have, their government issued this Palau stable coin. So let's play this commercial here real quick. And this is James Wallace, head of CBDC product at Ripple. Let's listen in here.
Ask the question, what's the most exciting thing about CBDCs and stablecoins? In one word, innovation. My name is James Wallace, and I head up CBDC at Ripple. You might already know that over 90% of central banks around the world are now exploring CBDCs. There are many drivers for CBDC, including the decline of cash, improving payments efficiency, lowering costs, and the desire to innovate the ways in which money is used. Ripple's CBDC platform is your one-stop shop for the creation of digital currency, designed for minting, managing, transacting, and redeeming CBDCs and stablecoins. Here's how it works. First, standard APIs enable seamless integration of the CBDC platform into a central bank's existing systems. This allows the bank to leverage their current infrastructure. Central banks can then mint their CBDC on a private version of the XRP ledger that they control. Digital currencies can then be distributed directly to authorized accounts, either through commercial banks or directly to consumer wallets. Transactions run on a private ledger and are settled in seconds, and this is all done in a regulated and secure environment. The Ripple CBDC platform also permits the secure destruction of currency, giving the bank full control over monetary supply. The results? Lower costs, faster transactions, greater financial inclusion for all, and all done with a minimal carbon footprint. So explore this with us today. We'll work together to build a custom pilot and future-proof your financial infrastructure.
So really what Ripple is doing in combination with the XRPL is providing the best solution for any central bank or government to issue a CBDC or a stable coin. Or if, we just want to tokenize US dollar on the XRPL today, we can do it, and we can do it relatively quickly. And so now the second commercial that I'm going to play here is a new video on Ripple's homepage paves the way towards the new mainstream jargon of Ripple payments. So recall, right, it used to be X Rapid, X Current, X Via, X this, X that. Now, and then it got really consolidated into Ripple Net. And then about 25% of their clients were on on-demand liquidity, which settles with XRP. But as I said, that right now is only happening through centralized exchange partnerships. And she calls them global liquidity partners, something like that. But this is centralized exchange and market makers that are really moving these flows. Now, where this moves going forward with the AMM is whether you got your CBDC on the private ledger and then you want to have that interoperability to tap into the AMM liquidity pool, you will be able to do so. Same thing applies for all these other institutions that want to tap in to the XRPL and through that AMM liquidity pool. They're going to be able to do that after we get this amendment as well. So listen in, right? This is the key distinction here, is that we had RippleNet and we had on-demand liquidity. Not everybody was on on-demand liquidity settling with XRP. But now we are moving and we're consolidating that. We're making it simple from a marketing perspective. It's all now Ripple payments. But listen in within the back of your mind, thinking about how they're going to be able to tap into the liquidity pools with these connections that they already have built out. So critical. All that's going to be next is simply, building out, flipping that switch on the CBDC, on the XRPL in one day, is what I remember David Short saying a few years ago. In this clip, this gal is going to say that it can take up to a few weeks for you to get started sending money. So even if it's, not a day or so, it's a relatively quick process to onboard you as a client and to get you tapped into their global liquidity pools. Let's listen in right here.
Of finance is here. Blockchain technology can appear complicated. I'm here to show you it's not. Hi, I'm Pega Sultani, and I'm the head of payments product at Ripple. So what I find fascinating is that trillions of dollars of value move across borders every year. By 2030, it's expected to reach 300 trillion. Despite this growth, global payments are often expensive, slow, prone to error. Fortunately, at Ripple, we're changing the way value moves around the world. We use blockchain technology and digital assets to enable faster, more affordable, and more transparent payments for both our customers and their customers. Here's how it works. Let's say a business wants to send pounds from the UK to the Philippines. First, they request an FX quote on pricing and foreign exchange. The business receives the quote, approves it, and then submits payment instructions. A digital asset acts as a bridge currency moving from the UK to the Philippines. It is then converted to local currency through Ripple's global partner network. The recipient then receives the exact amount quoted to them in Philippine pesos in real time. It's that simple. And when you're ready to scale to new corridors, Ripple's global payout network provides access to key markets and currencies, including many that were traditionally difficult to reach. You can start transacting within as little as 3 weeks, and your payments will settle in seconds, not days. The future of finance is here.
I love it. Clean presentation. Great stuff. Calls it Global Partner Network. In her example, she's going from pound to Philippine peso. And this is what I'm talking about, is you get one ODL partner, you get one institution, or even Ripple could do it themselves, where they issue the pound or a version of the pound on the XRPL. Funny enough, GateHub and Bitstamp have already done both, right? And then you have someone on the Philippine peso side, say Tranglo, already an ODL partner, right, could issue the Philippine peso on the XRPL, and then that's where we bring those into the liquidity pool on the AMM, and we start transacting on that liquidity pool right away. So it really is going to be taking this global partner network, this global payment network, over 40 plus corridors for ODL, over 70 plus payout markets. We get tapped into that AMM. And what this is doing, and why I call it a flip of the switch moment for XRP, is because for once, we're actually going to start moving this liquidity on the public DEX, the decentralized exchange that's built into the XRPL, and that is going to have an impact on price of XRP. It is. Right now, ODL through centralized exchanges isn't really having too big of an impact on price, because for the XRP to get into the hands of those ODL partners, it's happening over-the-counter transactions. So it's not even hitting the public markets and not reflected in the public market price of XRP, right? And then it's going to those institutions and then directly going into centralized exchange flows that are basically off of the public DEX and nowhere to be seen for public retail markets to really understand and for it to impact public retail price. That changes when we move it to the AMM liquidity pool, because those transactions are going through on the DEX. It's just like Palau's stablecoin that was on the XRPL DEX versus the other 9 or 10 central bank digital currencies that have been issued on the XRPL, but they're on the private version of the XRPL. We don't get to track those transactions. But the beautiful thing about what Ripple's doing is they're giving the central banks that control, which they want and they need, it's required. But it also has that backdoor interoperability, or like David Schwartz describes, you hit the big red button and the walls come down, and then you can tap in to the XRPL DEX. And the reason why you would do that going forward is because these AMM, the AMM on the XRPL is going to build out some of the best liquidity in the world. I firmly believe that. I describe the AMM as the final ingredient to the secret sauce. And I think that they're going to be able to get all of their partners who don't want to settle with XRP. This is just going to give them one more reason to settle with XRP. And when they have the toolkit to issue a CBDC on the XRPL, whether it takes one day or whether it's going to take a few weeks, like she said, right, that process is relatively quick. And you don't even need Ripple to do it, right? It's just Ripple's there to hold your hand. And so let's remain patient. This AMM amendment will be passed eventually, okay? There's going to be a little bit of back and forth. There's a little bit of drama right now. It's a bear market recession. Tensions are high. Keep your eyes on the prize and understand this is so great. This AMM is going to bring more liquidity to the XRPL DEX that we haven't had in the past. And this is really kind of that flip of the switch, or one of the flip of the switch moments that we're waiting for that will impact the price of XRP. So if you're holding your XRP and you're wondering when is price going to be impacted by all of these partners that Ripple has and all this volume that they're going to be moving through XRP, it is coming. And it's going to be coming with that AMM, that next flip of the switch, and that is the secret plan that Ripple has for the AMM. It's really not much of a secret. They're pretty out in the open for, with it. But I think that in today's video, what I wanted to do was kind of really connect those dots for you guys so that you can see where this is going and why it is so important for Ripple, right? There hasn't been a really a marketing push for any other amendments like this other than this one. And David describes it as his favorite amendment. And, if David and the team at Ripple think that it's good to go, I bet on them. I would agree that it is. But let's let the validators do what they do. Let's let them run through things, break it, test it. And then when it is time, they will flip the switch. And it's going to be a credible additional utility coming to the XRPL. And I'm very excited for it. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me, just head on over to my website, ZachRector.com. I also have some of my favorite exchanges, wallets, and affiliates for getting your precious metals as well. Metals did actually dump back again. So we're watching that one closely, and we'll have another markets update here. Stay tuned. We have another massive week ahead. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell and stay tuned. We got a lot more coming this way. Appreciate all of you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. God bless.